Hello everyone, this is Yana and I have a new video tutorial to share using a couple fun winter products. I recently got this awesome snowy scene rubber stamp from Hero Arts. Anyhow, I thought it would work perfectly with the new Hero Arts Ombre inks. I decided I would use Pool to Navy to stamp this little beauty and add a simple holiday sentiment and actually mass produce a couple of these cards to have on hand just in case. So I've gotten a few supplies ready for this project, the snowy scene rubber stamp along with a happy Christmas sentiment stamp, and I think this one would work well with the main image. Also, I have a Pool to Navy Ombre ink pad along with the soft pool ink from Hero Arts, and I'll explain why I need the second blue ink pad for this project in just a minute. I also have a few blank white panels to do my stamping and several A2 top folding card bases created out of Hero Arts C mixed layering papers. I'll also be using a couple more supplies like glitter tape, gems, and glitter pen along the way, and you can always refer to the supply list in my video description and also on my blog, and I've started linking to multiple sources for your convenience. So I'm going to start working on this card by inking my snowy scene stamp using my Ombre ink pad. I've picked a Pool to Navy one as I wanted this card to remind of a cold winter night and kind of like a winter sky. So I think that these colors are going to work perfectly for this project. I'm going to ink up my stamp so that the darkest color, navy, is at the bottom closer to my horizon, and the pool color, the lightest color, is at the top closer to the shining stars and the moon. Now, because I'm using an ombre ink pad, I need to go back and forth a little bit to blend the colors nicely and avoid having those harsh lines in between the colors. All it takes to have a perfect blend is going back and forth a little bit or up and down. This is actually much easier, well, in my opinion, it's actually much easier than inking a background. You can create a similar effect by, say, heat embossing a few winter images in clear embossing powder onto white paper, masking a couple snow hills and going over your cardstock with an ink blending tool and just blending several colors of ink. And you can do this with Hero Arts inks too. But to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of ink blending. I just never seem to get it right. So using an ombre ink pad and a stamp like this one is the best option for me. Now at this point I can flip my ombre ink pad upside down or rotate it 180 degrees and extend that pool color further to cover the rest of my stamp image, but I want that gradient to continue, so this is why I'm going to use this soft pool ink pad and add to that ombre look. Once again, I'm inking the uninked portion of my stamp, but also going over the inked part a little bit to make sure I have a nice transition there and no defined line between my colors. Now, don't worry about contaminating your ink pad. I didn't seem to have any ink transfer of pool ink onto my soft pool ink pad. And even if some ink did transfer, it's such a small amount there and the colors are rather similar, so I don't think that this will affect anything. So after I inked my stamp, I went ahead and stamped it onto my white cardstock panel, and since this is a rather large and also detailed stamp, I decided I would also carefully pick it up, flip it rubber side up, and press with my fingers onto the paper to make sure I have a perfect impression. Now when doing this, make sure not to shift your paper or you will end up having a smeared image. And voila, my winter scene was perfectly stamped onto my cardstock panel. Now, it didn't stamp exactly up against the upper edge, but that's totally okay. I did leave some room there on my paper to trim it in case something like this has happened. Next, I grabbed my Happy Christmas sentiment stamp, inked it up using the same ombre ink pad. Now this time I made sure that the darkest color, navy, was at the top and the lightest color was at the bottom. I just felt that it would look better if I do it this way. I once again did some back and forth inking to blend the colors and then stamped the sentiment onto my white panel somewhat closer to the right side as I wanted that sentiment to partially hang off the side there. So next I grabbed my new Fiskars paper trimmer and cut off that white space above the stamped image and also any white space that I had on the sides. I really like how precise I can get with this particular trimmer. You'll notice that I'm only trimming like a teeny tiny strip there off of the side of this panel, and I can still get a very nice and very clean cut, no frayed edges or anything of that sort. I'm really liking this paper trimmer so far, and I hope it will not disappoint me later. I also felt like I needed to stamp a few additional elements on this panel. So I grabbed this Happy Merry Messages by Leah clear stamp set from Hero Arts and first stamped Wishing You a sentiment using the darkest color from my pool to navy ombre ink pad, and I used navy portion to match the rest of my sentiment. So now the sentiment reads, Wishing you a happy, happy Christmas. I also decided I wanted to add a few subtle snowflakes falling in the background, so I used a small snowflake image from the same stamp set and stamped those using soft pool ink. These will also house a couple of gems later. Now, because this is a holiday card, it simply has to have some glitter. Now, I just love the way that Lisa Spangler adds glitter tape to her cards, so I decided I finally needed to try this trick. I had this American Crafts glitter tape in my stash for like forever, and today is actually the first time I'm using it. So I've added a strip of strong double-sided adhesive to the bottom part of my stamped panel, and I'm going to adhere my gold glitter tape on top. Well, I shouldn't say gold, it's more of a platinum color, I guess, so it works well with the cold color scheme of this project. Now, if you don't have glitter tape like this, you can add a strip of double-sided adhesive to the bottom part of your panel and just pour some glitter on top. In order to adhere this panel to my light blue card base, I added some double-sided foam adhesive to the back of this panel and mounted it onto my card to give it just a pop of dimension. Like I mentioned earlier, my stamped snowflakes were to house a couple gems, so here I'm using Hero Arts small diamond gemstones and just adding one onto the center of each of my snowflakes. And of course, I had to add an illusion of falling snow. I simply had to add a little bit of glitter to the stamped part of this card. I used my Wink of Stella glitter pen and generously covered the entire snowy stamped area with glitter. You can't really tell if there's any glitter on the video, but trust me, it shines like crazy in the evening under the artificial light. Honestly, it really does look like there's a ton of snow falling on this card, and that glittery shine ties nicely with the glitter tape at the bottom. I actually added so much glitter that I had to go to the sink and refill my glitter pen with water to be able to get more glitter out. But I'm so happy I added that final touch to this card. It really does make a huge difference. So before I go, I wanted to share a variation on this project, or like a more complex version of this card, because this really is a very simple and easy to mass produce project. So if you want to take this card one step further, you can add several little die-cut fir trees, a little snowy hut, a few woodland animals to this scene. So here are the two cards side by side, and both of these look awesome. But check out the card on the right. These little die-cut details add just so much to this design. Now, I used a different stamp set by Hero Arts called Winter Scene, and I also used matching dies to stamp and die-cut little fir trees, a little house, and a deer and a bear. I foam mounted these onto my stamped panel and grouped a few together to create one beautiful design. Now, I did use the same Pool to Navy Ombre ink pad to stamp those images, and I used the two darkest colors. I did share another card recently where I used this winter scene stamp set and stamped a whole little winter scene in a jar. I've shared that one on my blog, and I'll have a link to that blog post if you want to check it out. Anyhow, this finishes today's video, and I'm hoping you've enjoyed this simple idea. And if you're like me and struggle with ink blending, ombre inks and large solid stamps like the snowy scene is a perfect substitute. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I apologize, I'm still shooting videos on this ugly white background. My new cutting mat that I plan to use as a backdrop for the videos is in the mail and should be here soon, fingers crossed. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I have lots more videos using Hero Arts stamps on my channel. I've grouped them into a playlist. You can check them out by clicking a little info button on the top right corner. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button and drop me a comment. If you're new to my channel, remember to subscribe. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.